Hello everyone, a very warm welcome in this revision series through previous year questions. Sorry for the delay since last 1 week. I was busy with some academic work. But we will continue. This is my commitment to you. In next 8 to 10 days, we will finish this previous year question series. So in this row today, we have our next set. We are with ancient India for now. So this is theme set 3, we the authors, our plays and works. And believe me, this is the most crucial theme of the commission, not just for ancient India, but for medieval India also, as we will see in those questions too. But not the case with modern India. Fine. So whatever compositions, text works, plays, poetic works by different authors, whatever mentioned in your notes, try to revise them, try to keep all those in mind as much as possible. I'm not expecting from you to remember everything, but at least pay attention to this particular theme, because this is very unconventional aspect, because they are asking very, very minute compositions, and not just the composition in their work, but which composition or which author was set in this and that period, arranged in the chronological fashion. So this is also a developing theme in this composition and their authors theme, if I say. So let's cover this thing in nutshell from this particular thing which I created. So these are the important thing. So we have Upanishads, but we don't know the composers of each and every Upanishad. So in total they are, we can say, kind of anonymous compositions, but they tell us something very concrete. For example, Mundakopanishad, it tells, or we know that Satyamev Jayate, our national motto, is taken from this Mundakopanishad. Likewise, in Kathopanishad, we can see a dialogue of Nachiketa and Yama. Aitreya Upanishad, it discusses 3 philosophical themes based on Atma. Just remember this much. Now Shudrak, very keynote composer, many previous year question on Mrichakatikam. It's a drama written by Shudrak. It's a love affair between Charudatta and Vasant Sena, where Charudatta was a merchant, a rich merchant, and Vasant Sena was a courtesan's daughter. Sushruta Samhita, it's a work on surgery by our great Sushruta. Now very keynote, we can say, a composer, Vishakadatta. 2 major works, Devi Chandraguptam and Mudra Rakshas. Mrichakatikam is by Shudrak, whereas Mudra Rakshas is by Vishakadatta. If we talk some detail about Devi Chandraguptam, it is about King Ramagupta, where he decides to surrender his queen Dhruva Devi to a Shaka enemy when besieged. And Mudra Rakshas, it tells about the court times of Chandragupta Maurya. Varamihir, another very important composer, known for astronomical works like Brij Samhita and Panchasiddhantika. Brij Samhita mentions the astrological portents of bad harvest and famine. Brij Samhita deals with the qualities of diamond, rubies and pearls, semi-precious stones. The chewing of betel leaf is mentioned in Jataka stories as well as in Charak Sushruta Samhita and Brij Samhita of Varamihir also, and Mansoor inscription too. Panchasiddhantika, which is another work of Varamihir. Panchasiddhantika summarizes the astronomical works and ideas of preceding centuries. It is the earliest datable text to give 0 both as a symbol and as a number. The decimal system of notation was used by Varamihir and was referred to by Aryabhatta in his Aryabhattiya. So Aryabhatta is following Varamihir's work. Aryabhatta's Aryabhattiya also deals with maths problem. Now Charak, his Charak Samhita, everyone know, work on medicine. Brahmagupta, His two works, Brahma Sphut Siddhanta and Khanda Khadyaka. Khanda Khadyaka. Brahma Sphut Siddhant is the first surviving Indian text containing discussion of astronomical instruments, very crucial. Vatsyayan, everyone know Kama Sutra, work on eroticism and sexting. Manusmritis of Manu. Shukraniti Sar, there is a previous year question on this. It is simply Science of Governance. Author, it's anonymous. Kautilya's evergreen, various questions from simple ones to debatable and wrong official answer by commission. We will see that particular previous year questions which appeared, I think, in 2023 only. I don't know how it happened, but the official answer is blatantly wrong. Anyway, Arthashastra, it discusses about divorce to a wife deserted by her husband, and this divorce, Arthashastra is a term for it, moksha. On slavery, it says that a person could be a slave due to judicial punishment. If a female slave bore her master a son, she was legally free. The same son, if fathered by master, he is entitled to the legal status of the master's son. Milindapanhu, it's a dialogue between Menander, a Greek king, and a Buddhist monk called Nagasena. It's a work by Nagasena, not Nagarjuna. We will see the previous year question. Bilhan, Vikramank Dev Charita is a famous work. Vikramank Dev Charita associated with Western Chalukyas. Another work of Bilhan is Chaurapanchika. It's a love story. King Vikramaditya VI appointed Bilhan as Vidyapati. Bilhan rewarded his patron by composing in his honor this epic. Then everyone knows Harshcharita by Banbhatta. Ashwaghosha composition Buddha Charita. It's an epic poem in Sanskrit on the life of Gautam Buddha. Vasubandhu. These three people, Asanga, Maitreyanath and Vasubandhu, they were the founders of Yogacara school, which is a Mahayana Buddhist school. Fine. Now, in the Gupta dynasty set, we already covered various questions. Harisen is Samudragupta and Allahabad pillar inscription. It talks about Samudragupta's military expeditions. Now Kalidas, he was under the patronage of Chandragupta II, and he composed 6 things. Out of these 6, we have 3 plays and 3 poetries. Now, if you get confused, for example, suppose commission frame a very plain question, Kalidas compositions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they ask, out of these 6, which are the dramas, or which of these are the poetic works, poetry. So it will be very confusing if you cannot distinguish between the drama and the poetry work. So here the trick is, remember simply, wherever you find the hidden name of 2 persons, fine, which you will be able to see very easily. So those are the only plays. And beyond that, another nouns, they are simply poetries. Let's see here. Abhigyan and Shakuntalam. We have 2 characters, Abhigyan and Shakuntala. Malvika, Agnimitra. Vikrama, Urvashi. Fine. So these 3 are plays. And if we talk about poetry, these are simply single monotonous noun. Raghuvansha, Kumar Sambhav, Meghaduta. No hidden 2 names. So now, Malvika Agnimitra love story everyone knows of Agnimitra, son of Pushyamitra Shung, with a servant's girl, Malvika. In the Malvika Agnimitra, Agnimitra is the viceroy at Vidisha. Now, Meghaduta, it describes how a Yaksha who had been banished by his master to a remote region for a year asked a cloud to take a message of love to his wife. And the Hindi word for cloud is Megha. That's Meghaduta, messenger of cloud. Now Bhasha, we will see the previous year questions, and why PYQs are important, you will see in this particular question of Bhasha, where a question appeared in CDS 2022, and out of that spin-off question, UPSC framed a question in 2020, 4. Yes, we will see that. So Bhasha's work, Swapnavasav Datta, Pancharatra, not Panchatantra, that's Pandit Vishnu Sharma, but Pancharatra, Dutavaki and Balacharita. Swapnavasav Datta is a romantic narrative about the Kaushambi king Udayana and Vasavadatta, the daughter of Pradyuta, the ruler of Avanti. Harshvardhan wrote Ratnavali about a beautiful princess named Ratnavali and a great king named Udayan. Now Panini and Ashtadhyayi. This particular box, this is a simple thing from your notes. Fine. Whatever thing I arranged here, 90% of the things are mentioned in your notes only. So if any one of you revised all these notes, you are very few of those aspirants who did astoundingly well for history. Believe me, no one did this much. And don't run behind lot of XYZ type of ABC random unconventional questions scattered here and there in so and so test series from this or that institutions. This is not at all feasible, not at all suggestive that you learn history in this fashion. Whatever you have to remember each and everything mentioned in the pages of your notes. That is more than enough. No need to panic at all. All these very cut short things in the form of previous year questions, explanations, 90% are from your notes only. So use this previous year question series, just to, it's a kind of cherry on the cake. You are just emphasizing on the most crucial aspects, most crucial hidden things from up, down, left and right from the previous year questions. I arrange all the information in this fashion here. Okay, so in this way, Panini, and you will see the question. Not on the Panini, but Panini appeared twice in previous years. But the question is on Katyayan. And just from these 3 lines, and this is in your notes also. So Panini was a grammarian who lived in the 5th, 4th century AD. Ashtadhyayi, he composed, known as oldest surviving Sanskrit grammar. Panini was the precursor of other Sanskrit grammarians such as Katyayana. We have question in CDS 2025 on Katyayan, and we will see how they frame the options, and Patanjali. Amar Sinha, patron was Chandragupta II. Famous composition is Amar Kosha or Nama Linganushasanam. Instructions regarding nouns and genders. Linga, gender, you can guess. And try to pronounce these compositions. You will see a very never-ending kind of names that people are afraid of even pronouncing. But the more you pronounce, break that noun in the syllables and pronounce it. Drive a meaning out of it. You will find some meaning. But at least do this exercise. Otherwise, like many people do, just skip that question. It is not advisable because this is the most important theme in which we can guess from previous year questions. Next, Bhavabhuti, Jain playwright. His 3 main works, Mahavir Charita, depicting the early life of Rama. Malti Madhav, 2 persons are here, so a play based on romance, composed by Bhavabhuti. And third work of Bhavabhuti is Uttar Ramacharita, depicts Ram's coronation. Hasti Malla, another Jain playwright. His famous work is Purva Puran. Shemeshwara, another Jain playwright, Dashavtar Charita. Neti Pakran or Neti Gandha, it's a Buddhist work. In Pali language, it's a book on guidance. Hemachandra, a Jain scholar, Parishishta Parvan. It tells history of the earliest Jain teachers. Avdan Shatak, quite simple. Avdan Shatak and Divyavdana, these are Buddhist texts which have stories connected with the Buddha and Ashoka. The 1st century AD, Ashtasahasrika Prajnaparamita and Saddharma Pundarika offers account of the various Buddhas, Bodhisattvas and Mahayana doctrines. Now another Jain scholars, Janisena and Gunabhadra, they composed Trishashti Lakshan Mahapuran. It tells life stories of various Jain saints, kings and heroes. Aryadev, another Buddhist scholar, Mahayana Buddhism received its classic exposition in the writings of thinkers such as, remember these names, Nagarjuna, Aryadev, Dignaga, Asanga and Vasubandhu. Dignaga, a Buddhist composer of Pramana Samuchaya. Break this word. If you see it at first glance, whoa, what is this? Something so random, so unconventional. But break it. Pramana Samuchaya. It's a work laid foundation of Buddhist knowledge. It is a work of Dignaga. Now Nath Muni, he is a Vaishnava scholar, composer of famous Nalayira Divya Prabandham. The hymns of 12 Alvars, you can get a question from here too again. Alvars or Vaishnavites. So their hymns are collected in the 10th century work of Nath Muni called Nalayira Divya Prabandham, which constituted the Vaishnava canon. Whereas the first major hagiography of the Alvar saints was 12th century work called the Divya Suri Charitam by Garuda Vahan, another scholar. His work is Divya Suri Charitam. Nath Muni was founder of a sect called Sri Vaishnava sect, who lived in the late 10th, 11th centuries. This is the time period of Nath Muni. In his Nyaya Tattva, another work, Nath Muni emphasized the idea of prapati, complete surrender to the God. So this was a thing for you to remember. Now we will see all the 40 previous year questions one by one from here. Now you see the compositions and its time period when they got composed. I know this is not feasible you to remember these many things, these so closely knitted time periods of composed works or the authors whenever they lived in this or that era. That's quite tough, but at least you can remember this much, whatever appeared in your previous year questions. Fine. Now look at this first question, and it is in 2023 NDA, very latest. In 2022 also you can see this question. So Charak Sahinta, Bharatnatya Shastra, Sangam Literature and Ashtadhyayi. Charak Sahinta composed around 3rd, 2nd century BC. Natya Shastra around 1st BC to 2nd century AD. Sangam Literature 3rd century BC to 3rd century AD. Whereas Ashtadhyayi, earliest one, 5th century BC. So if we arrange, Ashtadhyayi is the earliest, then we get Sangam Literature, then Charak Sahinta, then Natya Shastra. When did Charak Sahinta originate? 3rd to 2nd century BC. Which one among the following is the earliest text? Sushruta Sahinta, 7th century BC. Natya Shastra, 2nd century BC to 2nd century AD. Ashtadhyayi, we already covered, 5th century BC somewhere. Manusmriti, 2nd century BC to 3rd century AD. Now, they also given you one author and around which particular theme that a specific author known for or composed. So Vishakadatta composed dramas, Varamihir astronomical works, so astronomy, Charak on medicine, Sushruta on surgery like this, Brahmagupta and mathematics. If you get confused between Charaka and Sushruta, who is for medicine or surgery, so remember this S. Sushrut's S is for surgery. So of course medicine you will relate with Charak. Okay. Next, which one of the following text of ancient India allow divorce to a wife deserved by her husband? Arthashastra. And the work for divorce in Arthashastra is moksha. The famous dialogue, it says the word for divorce in Arthashastra. The famous dialogue between Nachiketa and Yama is mentioned in, see the question, Kathopanishad. Now see this. Milinda Panho is in the form of a dialogue between the king Menander and the Buddhist monk Nagasena. 1997 question appeared in 2023. It created very confusion, so much confusion, but according to official answer also, we have this right thing. Devi Chandraguptam, it's a work of Vishakadatta, not Bilhan. Hamir Mahakavya, yes, it's a work of Naya Chandrasuri. Milinda Panha is a work of Nagasena, not Nagarjun. And Niti Vakya Mitra is a work of Somadeva Suri. Now, I won't say again and again, things are mentioned in your notes. 90% of the things of previous year questions already in your notes. So just brush up those things from this PYQ series. Mahayana philosophical ideas were represented in the text of two major Buddhist schools, one such as Madhyamaka, founded by Nagarjuna, and he was around 2nd century AD. Nagarjuna's most important work was the Moola Madhyamaka Karika. The idea of Shunyata is an important feature of this Moola Madhyamaka Karika. It's a work by Nagarjuna. Next, simple pattern. There is an author and there is a composition. Now match those. Varamihi's Mritsahinta, Vishakadatta, Devi Chandraguptam, Shudrak, Michakatikam, Bilhana, Prabandha Chintamani. Next, Mrichakatikam by Shudrak, Buddhicharita of Ashughush, not Vasubandhu, Mudra Rakshas, Vishakadatta, Harshcharita by Banabhatta. Now see this question. The pattern is same. Dutta Ghatotkach is by Bhasha. Mrichakatikam Shudrak, Kiratarjuniam, Bhairavi and Ravanvad Bhatti. Won't say again and again, straight from your notes. Bhasha. And I covered this last year also in the PYQ discussion, and the question appeared in 2024. Bhasha, another important playwright, was author of the works such as Madhyam Vyayoga. Now you all must remember this thing. It's very common for all of those out there for every aspirant, but not until this particular text name appeared in 2020-24 prelims. It's a composition by Bhasha. And why they asked? Because they already asked in CDS 2022. Hence in 2024, this question appeared. Which one of the following is a work attributed to playwright Bhash? Madhyama Vyayoga. So famous works apart from Madhyam Vyayoga, Dutta Ghatotkach, Dutta Vakya, Balacharita and Charudatta. Shudrak's Mrichakatika and Bhairavi's Kiratarjunya are among the other prominent literary works of this period. Bhatti's Ravanvad, it's a 7th century work, illustrate the rules of grammar while telling the story of Rama's life. Other great dramatists of the time, such as Mentha, composer of Hayagrivadha, Bhamas, Kavyalankara and Dandin's Kavyadarsha. Remember these names at least this much. Now many questions on Mrichakatik, an ancient Indian book written by Shudrak, deals with it's a love story of a rich merchant with the daughter of a courtesan. Who among the following was the author of famous Sanskrit work Mrichakatika? Same thing, simple, Shudraka. The ancient Indian play Mudra Rakshas of Vishakadatta has its subject on the court intrigues at the time of Chandragupta Maurya. Which one of the following books of ancient India has the love story of the son of founder of Shunga dynasty, Agnimitra and Malvika, Malvika Agnimitram, by Kalidas? Now, there is an author and under the patronage of which king? Panini is associated with Pushyamitra Shunga. No, he's He was ruling somewhere around 5th century BC. Shunga was not yet here. Amar Sinha is associated with Harshvardhan No, Chandragupta II like Kalidasa. So Amar Sinha and Kalidas both were patron of Chandragupta II. Now see this question. Which one of the following statement about the grammarian Katyayana is correct? Now look at the questions. He was a contemporary of Panini. He was a contemporary of Patanjali. He belonged to a period between Patanjali and Panini, and he belonged to a period later than both Panini and Patanjali. Giving you a feel like a seaside question. But straight from your notes, I mentioned only this much thing from Panini's box. Panini was the precursor of other Sanskrit grammarians such as Katyayana, 4th century BC, and Patanjali, 2nd century BC. And if you put this information in this diagram, you can see Katyayana is between Panini and Patanjali. So the option is C. With reference to the history of ancient India, Bhubhuti, Hastimal and Shemeshwara were famous playwrights, Jain playwrights. Historical person known for Aryadeva, he was a Buddhist scholar, not Jain. Dignaga, yes, he was Buddhist scholar. Nath Muni, Vaishnava scholar. We already covered information on Nath Muni. Now this question. It was around 2022 when I composed this particular course for history, and when this question appeared, I felt so satisfied that the notes have been made in a very cut-to-cut specific direction, which catered the need of aspirant to cover these bouncer questions, these unconventional aspects of history. Straight from your Rupinder Singh, and I mentioned this in the notes. This is one such question, appeared in 2022 prelims. Neti Pakrana Parishishta Parvan Avdana Shatagan Trishashti Lakshan Mahapuran. It's tough to even pronounce the names, but I again repeat, try to pronounce. Break the noun in 2 syllables. Get some meaning out of it. So Niti Pakrana and Avdana Shatak, these 2 are Buddhist work, whereas Parishishti Parvan and Trishashti Lakshan Mahapuran, these 2 are Jain text according to the question. The Trishashti Lakshan Mahapuran by Jansen and Gunabhadra has life stories of various Jain saints, kings and heroes. The Parishishti Parvan by Hemachandra gives the history of the earlier Jain teachers. Fine. Madhyamika Karika, the basic text of Madhyamika school, was composed by Nagarjuna. Arthashastra, very simple question. It's a work on statecraft. But what is not acceptable under Arthashastra is this question. Broad daylight, a wrong answer by commission. Whereas Rupinder Singh saying that all statements are correct according to that book. What to do? Sometimes things just happen with no explanation, nothing. But what UPSC said is wrong. Statement 1 is also correct. A person could be a slave as a result of a judicial punishment. If a female slave bore her master a son, she was legally free. If a son bore a female slave was fathered by her master, the son was entitled to the legal status of the master's son. All 3 statements on slavery on the basis of Kautilya's Arthashastra is absolutely correct. And you can see it here. This entire information. Kautilya lists various rules for the treatment of male and female slaves, like all those things. If a dasi bore her master's son, she was released from enslavement. The child was considered the father's legitimate son. All these 3 statements on slavery is correct, not just 2 and 3. In Kautilya's Arthashastra, the conqueror king is expected to establish in the conquered territories a social order based on Dharma, Varna and Ashram systems. On Patanjali's Mahabhashya, it makes mention of nothing like that. It don't mention Kautilya. It's a book on grammar and refers to historical personalities only incidentally. Yes, correct. In Sanskrit plays written during the Gupta period, women and Shudras speak Prakrit, whereas elite ruling class is speaking Sanskrit. Who among the elite ones and common people Prakrit, like women and slaves? Shudras. Okay. So Prakrit by these two and Sanskrit by the ruling class. Who among the following is known for the work on medicine during the Gupta period? Sushrut Sahinta, Sushrut. Tolkappiyam is a work on grammar. 2 times this question appeared in 2022. You can get this statement framed in 2025 prelims too. Which one of the following statement about Tolkappiyam is not correct? That it was composed. Even a child can tell that no, it's not possible. The person who is considered as composer of Tolkappiyam is Tolkappiyar. Tolkappiyam is a work on grammar, treatise on grammar. It was composed between 1st to 4th century AD. It's a part of Sangam corpus. Not a work of Ashwaghosha. So we have these 3 works by Ashwaghosha: Sariputra Prakran, Buddhacharita and Saundarananda, but not Manjushri Mulakalpa. All these 4 are mentioned in your notes. Do find, do revise. Who among the following is the author of Hastya Ayurved Palakapya? I won't repeat the same thing again and again. Everything is there. Whatever is necessary to remember. The Hastya Ayurveda of Palakapya is a work consisting of 160 chapters. It deals with the diagnosis and treatment of the major diseases of elephants through medication and surgery. We'll see a question on horse also. Which one of the following pairs of authors in Sanskrit literary works is not correctly matched? Kalidas. He is not written Vasavdatta, it's by Bhasha. Somadeva composed Kathasarit Sagar, yes. Ashwaghosha's Buddhacharita and Bilhana, Vikramanga Devacharita. Very simple question. Composed work by Harshvardhan, Ratnavali. Which Chinese traveler in ancient India wrote the diary called Record of the Travels to Middle India? Huinzan. Which one of the following pair of author and literary work is correctly matched? Only Kalhan, Rajatrangani. It's a history of Kashmir kings. Whereas Harshcharita is by Banbhatt, Prithviraj Vijay is by Jayanak, Ramcharit by Sandhyakar Nandi. There is one more relevant work, Prithviraj Rasu, it's by Chandrabartai. Prithviraj Vijay is by Jayanak, Prithviraj Rasu is by Chandrabartai. Now this question on horse, as I was saying. The ancient Indian medical treatise for horses called Ashwashastra is attributed to which one of the following persons? The sage called Shalihotra. Now see, about horses there are few mythological developments in our literary works. While the great epic poems of ancient India like Mahabharata and Ramayana bear testimony to the emergence of horse from the ocean, another origin myth that has stood the test of time chronicles the descent of horses from the heavens. The legend identifying horses as originally winged celestial creature is mainly preserved within the Shalihotra or Ashwashastra, the discipline of the horse genre of Indian literature. So with this Shalihotra we can guess the composer as sage Shalihotra. Now this question on the Bakshali manuscript, verbatim from the notes, written in Gatha language and Sharda script, deals with topics such as fractions, square roots, arithmetic and geometric progressions. It is correct. In the field of geometry, Aryabhatta described the various properties of circle, giving a very accurate value for pi. correct to 4 decimal places, which 3.1416. Sharangdhar Samhita is an important text on Ayurveda, not political system, of ancient India. So do revise about Bakshali manuscript written in Gatha language and the Sharda script. It may belong to a period around 3rd, 4th century. Account of mathematical concepts prevalent at that time. The Bower manuscript is a collection of fragmentary manuscripts that seem to originally have belonged to a Buddhist monk named Yeshomitra. It talks more on medicine type of things. They include 7 treatises, 3 on Ayurveda, 2 on divination by using dice, and 2 on incantations to be used against snake bites. So it's talking on Ayurveda and snake bite also, the Bower manuscript. Next question. Sangbhuti appeared in last year prelims, straight from the notes. An Indian Buddhist monk who traveled to China at the end of the 4th century AD was the author of a commentary on Sarvastivada Vinaya. So many Indian monks who traveled to China during 300 to 600 AD period countries belong to Kashmir. They include one such as Sangbhuti, author of a commentary on the Sarvastivada Vinaya. And the last question, these 3 texts, Tilak Manjari, Niganthu and Janaki Haran. Janaki Haran, from the word Janaki, you can get something that okay, this is related to some Ramayana event. So yes, it's not about logic, it's about Rama Sita story. It is composed by Kumaril Bhatta, whereas Tilak Manjari and Niganthu both are associated with medicine. Tilak Manjari, it's a work on medicine. Niganthu is specifically work on Ayurveda, part of medicine. So yes, you have these many questions on just one theme. Compositions in form of texts, dramas, poetry works, and their composers, and the composers under the patronage of XYZ King. So do revise these questions and keep in mind all the important things related to this theme from your notes. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.